Welcome to Radio Express World News, presented by Vibha Ramesh, Los Angeles, United States. Today's bulletin commences with the nationwide discord in the United States on the mandate that requires wearing of masks in public during the pandemic. Despite mounting evidence of the benefits of wearing a mask in public, President Trump has left the ultimate decision to individual state governors instead of imposing a nationwide rule. Trump believes in masks, although he would not support a nationwide mandate, as he said in an interview with Fox News. "I leave it up to the governors." The increasing caseload across the United States, especially in the South and West, is proportionate to the absence of unanimity in the safety measures adopted by the nation as a whole. About half the states support a national mandate, while the others feel it's infringement of people's right to freedom. To this effect, Republican leaders are openly voicing their displeasure over the handling of the crisis by the Trump administration. Republican governors are now issuing orders that are against Trump's demands. Another issue surfacing right now due to the spike is the backlog in laboratories that do the testing, thereby leading to a delay in treatment and discharge of patients. Former Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, said on a CBS program, "Once testing is delayed more than 48 hours, it becomes not very useful. The longer it takes for people to determine whether they've been infected, the more difficult it will be to curb the spread of disease and drive new case numbers down." Moving on to China, the recent spurt in coronavirus infections among the Muslim ethnic minority has unraveled a rather disturbing truth by New York Times visual investigation. Apparently, several companies in China are using Uyghur labor through a government-sponsored transfer program, most often against their will. The Uyghurs are of Muslim ethnicity, predominantly from the Xinjiang region. According to the investigation, the Uyghurs are brought to China through the labor transfer program, coerced to learn Mandarin and made to work in factories and other service jobs to reduce poverty, and are subjected to penalties for non-cooperation. 17 out of 51 companies that use Uyghur labor produce personal protective equipment both for domestic use and for export. Less than a week after the United Kingdom banned Chinese telecommunications company Huawei Technologies Company, Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab hinted that the nation plans to suspend an extradition treaty with Hong Kong. Raab will be updating the parliament on its decision on Monday. Canada and Australia have already suspended extradition agreements with Hong Kong, while the US and New Zealand are reviewing their disposition. With an effort to establish itself in the world after Brexit, Raab will be meeting the US Secretary of State Michael Pompeo in London on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Hong Kong recorded 108 cases on Sunday, making it the highest one-day increase in COVID-19 cases. Subsequently, the city's chief executive, Carrie Lam, has tightened the restriction that will now include face coverings in indoor spaces and mandatory work from home for non-essential civil workers. The earlier restrictions that mandated closed gyms and nightclubs, as well as closure of dine-in at restaurants after 6 p.m., will continue to stay. Further, Lam promised to conduct 10,000 tests per day. He told reporters, "I think the situation is really critical and there is no sign the situation is being brought under control." Moving on to news from India, the number of coronavirus cases recorded on Sunday alone makes it the deadliest week, with 88,000 new infections and 673 deaths. This takes the overall tally of active cases to 390,000. Some of the other states that recorded the highest single-day infections in thousands on Sunday are Maharashtra with 9,518 cases, Tamil Nadu with 4,979 cases, Andhra Pradesh with 5,041 infections, Uttar Pradesh with 2,250 cases, and Bengal with 2,278 infections. On a different note, the nation has revised the standard of helmets, which is a compulsory requirement for bikers. According to the new standard, helmets can now weigh 1.2 kilograms as against the previous norm of 1.5 kilograms. Taking off 300 grams might encourage more people to wear a helmet while on their bikes. Moreover, imported helmets will now be permitted as long as they conform to Indian standards. Another case where healthcare workers are getting affected with the virus comes from Brazil. Over 1,000 doctors and nurses that are associated with a health service called CSI have tested positive for the virus and were discharged without protective equipment or access to tests. The high infection rates among health workers suggests that there were failures in the protection of healthcare workers at a critical moment, affecting teams that care for a highly vulnerable population, said Philippe Tavares of the Federal Fluminense University. In response to the surge in infections in Iran and Afghanistan, Turkey has suspended flights to these countries. Iran is said to have at least 25 million people infected with coronavirus. Finally, Melbourne has mandated the wearing of face masks in public. This rule will be in effect from Wednesday, and failure to comply would elicit a fine of $200. With that, we come to the end of this news bulletin. Thank you for joining us. Please stay tuned for the next program on Radio Express. To receive Radio Express English news and English programs in your WhatsApp, please send a WhatsApp message, English programs, to 90727 95547. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Radio Express. Thank you.